Bonjour. I am going to speak in English because I don't speak French very well, but I do speak a little bit. So I am so excited to be here at MIPCube. I first want to thank Marie and everyone at MIP for having us all here today at MIPCube and MIPTV. We have a fantastic jury to hear from today. So Olivier Ezratty is a digital media expert from France. Marie-Christine Levet, she is a partner at Jaïna Capital, also a VC firm based in France also. Emma Lloyd, Director of Emerging Products at BSKYB in the UK. And Anne-Marie Roussel, I'm sorry, I'm terrible, is an executive in residence at Illuminate Ventures in the USA. So first, I would like to begin. How's everyone doing? Is everyone doing well? Good. Good. Excited to be here, right? So first, I'd like everyone to say a little more about themselves. You guys have a 1-minute spiel, and then also share, please, your favorite animal. So you have 1 minute to talk about yourself and your favorite animal. Okay, Emma, you begin, please. Oh, do you want to grab? Sorry, I didn't even distribute the microphones.
Yes, so I have just finished a 3-year role at Sky heading up all of our digital product development, and I've just taken on a really exciting new role heading up a corporate development team, which means that I get to look after all of our strategic investments, particularly in startups, and also our big strategic partnerships with the guys at the other end of the spectrum, the big guys. So I think I'm in a great job. I'm really enjoying it, and looking forward to this afternoon's discussion. My favorite animal is a King Charles Spaniel, which is a little cute dog.
I have one of them. Yay.
What do you?
Hello, my name is Marie-Christine Levet. I'm a partner at Jaïna Capital. Jaïna Capital is a VC fund, a sort of new type of fund in France created by entrepreneurs, and we invest in early stage, first round companies, mainly internet startups. We've been created 3 years ago. We did 25 investments. All over the world. We did 3 in the US, 2 in Israel, 2 in the UK, and the rest in France. And my favorite animal is the panda. The panda.
That's a good one.
I got one. Thank you. Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Roussel. I am in a VC firm in the US called Illuminate Ventures. I'm a partner there. And I'm also a partner in a newly relaunched incubator in San Francisco called IO Ventures. Prior to that, I've been in corporate venture for a long time. I was with Microsoft in Silicon Valley, handling investments for Xbox and TV and all these good media things. And after Microsoft, I went to Sharp TVs, where I started the corporate venture activity to invest in second screen and such new TV endeavors.
Oliver.
I'm both a consultant, a blogger, a photographer, a teacher, and all of these on 2 topics. One is digital media and particularly digital television, and the other one is entrepreneurship. So I'm spending a lot of my time exploring what startups are doing in that space. I know a couple of them here, and that's all for now for 1 minute. And the animal? I don't have any animal, but I love cats.
He loves cats. And okay, well, so we have so much to cover here. So today we're hearing from the VCs and TV decision makers. We have many of those in front of us right now, and you guys are going to just tell us what's going on. So I would like to start very broadly with how has the game changed? How has the game changed for television, for, in the last 5 to 10 years? How has it changed for all of you? Just jump in, or I'll just pick you.
I'll jump in. I like to say that the game is actually changing now. I'm not sure it changed 5 years ago. It's changing now. When I look at investments or when I look at things that are new or innovative, I judge them by what does the user want, the viewer, the TV viewer want. And today, as you all know, since you're all in the TV business, people are not watching TV the same way they used to. They are sick and tired of the one-way relationship where the TV networks tell them what to watch, when to watch it. And if you look at the young generation today, those of you who have kids, you will notice that the kids don't watch TV anymore. They watch shows or series or whatever when they want it on their computers. So there is a big phenomenon going on where the TV is definitely not the first screen anymore, in my view. This is debatable, but that's my view. And it really has lost its center of the living room role, where nobody gathers around the TV anymore, except for certain special events like sports or political events or things like that. But otherwise, to watch a film or to watch a series or whatever, everybody's got their own terminal and device, and they watch that. So I think that I don't view it as a problem. I view it as an opportunity. It certainly is an opportunity for people like us who invest in innovation. There's a lot of innovation in the US, and I've seen some in France. I've been here for a week or so, and I've seen a lot of innovation. I think a lot of people, certainly TV networks and studios, look at that as a threat. Many people do, but I don't view it as a threat for anyone. I think it's a huge opportunity for startups to invest in, or to apply resources to innovation and leverage these new desires from newer generations of TV viewers.
Great. You know, Emma, I'd love to hear from you. You're at BSKYB, which is the biggest pay TV platform in the UK. So how has it changed your business?
Yes, so I definitely wouldn't quite agree with you on that point. I think, you know, for us, we've got about 11 million homes in the UK, so just over a third of UK homes. And yes, we're seeing a change, but still 80% of viewing in Sky households is to linear television, which is amazing when you consider that we have all of our boxes are connected, so people can watch everything on demand. They're all PVRs, so they can...
I love that we already have a disagreement. I'm so excited.
They can you know, they can record and obviously, you know, watch offline. We've had Sky Go, which is our sort of TV everywhere service for 5-6 years now, which is free as part of your subscription to watch on any device, whether it's your, you know, your iPad, your iPhone, a games console. All of that flexibility is there for our customers. But amazingly, whilst those extra things are all on the increase, it's still, you know, under 20%, which is phenomenal, I think, in a sense that opportunity is there, but many customers still choose to watch live linear television. And it's also interesting that when you ask them, we obviously monitor what's happening in Sky Homes, and if you ask people, their claimed behaviour is that they're watching everything on demand and everything on their PVR. The actual is the entire opposite, which is really fascinating, and I think that's something we've got to bear in mind. I'm absolutely pro-digital and all the new stuff, because that's what I work on, that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. But you have to temper that with the reality that you know, it's not just overnight flipping into this other model. People at Sky have HD, 3D, you know, all of those things, and the habit which encourages people still to watch the linear schedule. And that's something which is going to take a long, long time, I think, to shift.
Have you looked at, I'm sure you have, a population across, so I assume that in the older age groups, that's the kind of attitude. But I'd be interested to hear your numbers. What do you have for the younger age groups?
So that's interesting. I think that when we look at a family situation, we do see more offline viewing of younger people within that family, but we still see a huge amount of co-viewing. So whether it's to live linear sport or the big game shows on a, you know, midweek, Friday night, Saturday night, they're all things that the family are choosing to watch together. We invested in a startup last year called ZBox, which is a second screen one. And it's really interesting because we can see then, you know, people logging in, watching a family watching the same show, but they're logging in and having a different experience on the second screen. But a lot of those things are actually encouraging still live linear, because that's when the second screen works best.
What kind of different experiences on the second screen? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the
So certain people in the family don't want anything to do with watching the Twitter stream come through, which ZBox delivers in context for that show. Other family members, you know, absolutely want to, you know,
so
hang on every word of what's going on.
Younger demographic, generally.
Yeah, we pretty much see that there's a sort of over 25 and under 25 in terms of their desire to engage in social media whilst they're watching TV, as a general rule.
Great. So what are, I'd love to hear from Oliver and Marie. What are some of the major trends in TV and video startups that you guys are seeing? What are kind of the general trends you're seeing?
So it's quite interesting because every time there's new media, there's always experts saying that it cancels, internet will replace TV, or and it happens with radio, it happens with TV. Basically, it doesn't happen because it integrates it more. What we see a lot, in the trends of startups, we see a lot of startups in the area of second screen. Like, there's one statistics, I read that I thought was quite interesting, that 70% of people watching TV are at the same time using iPhone or a tablet, so that means people are multitasking.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Who else does anyone like go shopping online while they're watching TV, or you're trying to get stuff done, book a trip? Yep, everyone's guilty, I would think.
So we see a lot of startups, that use that as a way for producer or for TV channels to interact more with their audience, and for the audience to share more the shows, with their communities and to integrate with their social network. So that's a big trend. The second trend we see is like in any type of industry is like people that really understand well the value chain of the TV industry and try to go in one area where they can really digitalize it. And so it's mainly B2B, but it could be quite interesting. And there's one or two in the panel this afternoon. And the third trend we see is everything around data. Data is the big word. A lot of companies try to gather a lot of data to analyze exactly what people do, how they interact, and then sell this data. This is mainly the three trends we are seeing in this area.
Would you guys say this is a business that big data speaks?
It's a tool. It's just a tool. It's interesting when you use big data for advertising. If you want to use it for advertising targeting or measurement, to have a better understanding of your audiences. So that's where it makes sense. But it's just a tool for... big data is a kind of a marketing word. I mean, it's been used for a while. The scale may change, but we have been having big data for at least 20 years. Before it was called business intelligence, no? The name is just changing.
To be able to have a way to, how do you sell it and what do you do with this data? Because too much data at one point can kill the data,
But what is changing is we, compared to 10 years ago or 20 years ago, is we have more useless data. And so we have to filter useless data to get useful data. Because we have all this data coming out of living tools like healthcare tools, the Fitbit things, or the balance, the weight balance. Comment on dit balance? Je sais plus comment dire. Scale, the weight scale. So all these tools are producing a lot of data. Then you have to use it. But that's not the TV business. On the TV business, we miss the data right now because not all the TV broadcast systems have a good understanding of who is watching what. IPTV vendors have a good idea because it's bi-directional. Cable companies have some idea. Satellite companies have less of an idea of what we're watching. And DTT, digital terrestrial, they have no idea today of who's watching what. So the more we will have a bi-directional connectivity between the TV viewers and TV broadcasters and advertisers, the more we will have usage for big data, the more we will have targeted advertising. And that's where we see a lot of companies getting in the value chain, trying to help telecom companies and or broadcasters to have the right targeting for their ads.
So as far as startups, you were saying that you're seeing a lot of second screen activity, you're working with companies that do things like that. Have any of you seen a new revenue model that is not advertising based that has worked?
We were speaking about that together. I think it's quite complicated for startups to evolve in this environment because if there's, for example, app startups, that they are based on the App Store and the Android, and they target a B2C user, it's very difficult to emerge in this App Store. So a lot of them try to have revenues outside the advertising, because advertising is very low, so they try to sell premium services. But the difficulties is how do you get a lot of users to download your app without spending tons of advertising. So in B2C, the model can be quite difficult. And the B2B one, what we think is quite difficult is that usually in every country you have 3 big customers. So it means you need to have this conclude a contract with these customers. So basically that's why the model can be quite not that easy for startups to emerge and find a good revenue model.
So you're saying premium memberships and advertising are the primary?
Yes, premium or premium things to buy, little items to buy, like the games. It's the same things that work in the gaming industry. The gaming, all these big games when people buy little items, on a premium basis.
I love.
You have a lot of white label companies selling technology. White label to broadcasters or telecom companies. They can reach a certain scale in revenue, but at a country level. And then they have to scale outside their own country, which is the biggest problems they have, because they have their own competitors in each of the countries, at least in Europe. And on the other hand, in the US, you see a lot of content providers like the Hulu or equivalent who scale at the national level because the market is very large. So that's why we have the fragmentation of the European market drives companies to be service-oriented, project-oriented, and more white label. And there are very few companies who are able to scale nationally or internationally in Europe with a B2C business model at this point in time.
What about
language is also a big barrier.
So about some of the revenue models that I've seen emerge in the US lately. There is one that I find very interesting, going back to big data. I rather call it analytics in this particular context. There are some interesting startups that have been around. Actually, one of them called Bluefin was acquired by Twitter recently. And Trender and NetBase, quite a bit of startups in that space. What's interesting is that they are not at all relying on advertising. In fact, the successful ones don't. They rely on subscription. And it's either a B2C model where they rely on consumer subscription, or a B2B model where they have a number of big contracts with providers. And to your point, in some European countries, it's a little more difficult because you only have a few networks or studios per country. In the US, it's much bigger. You have lots of networks and lots of studios. And I actually see an interesting thing that's starting to appear in the US, in fact, I'd be interested to know whether this is happening in Europe as well, is that some of these analytics companies are now providing analytics back to the studios, say a producer, say Fox for Glee. I don't know, how many of you are familiar with Glee? Not too many. Okay, everybody. Okay, good. So basically, there is this startup that actually I've invested in called CalmC. They provide back analytics to Fox, telling them, monitoring various flux of data throughout the show. So it could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, it could be many other types of social networking. And in real time, they provide the feedback to Fox, telling them, people, there are peaks of audience at this time, people hate this, love that. There's a lot of business to be done in what we call sentiment analysis, which can tell people, when you have 10 million tweets during Glee, what does it mean? Is it 10 million people who say, I hate it? Or is it 10 million people who say, I love it? So, and this is very basic, but some of these sentiment analysis companies go much deeper than that. So a lot of little startups now are actually selling very, very valuable analytics back to the studios and the content producers, basically. And the content producers, to your point, where I would disagree when you say big data is just a tool, it's not, because now content is being developed based on those analytics. And I've seen content, TV show content, being changed based on, from one week to the next, from one shoot to the next, based on the feedback from the audience. So one character is being killed because the audience is sick and tired of seeing this guy. And somebody is appearing because the audience is saying that they like more females.
You don't need big data to measure audience today.
I'm sorry?
You don't need big data to measure audience. You have simple tools. to measure audience.
No, but this is not measuring audience. This is much
better.
more.
It's more detailed. Yeah.
Yeah, this is much more detailed. Yeah, it tells you what the audience likes or doesn't like.
Yeah,
or it's
I think
trending.
that's how they just picked the. Does anyone watch The Bachelor? It's a show in the U.S. It's fantastic. It's a great reality show where they find love, and they just picked the next Bachelor because they got so many comments about one that they liked on a past show.
Just following on from that theme, so one of the companies, a US startup that we're trialing at the moment is called Paraquet. And that's amazing at basically pulling out real sentiment from huge amounts of social data. So one of the applications that we've been looking at for that is helping our Sky Movies team, who obviously are spending hundreds of millions of pounds on selecting which movies to bring onto our platform, that we can see much earlier on, which movies are creating the most buzz, and that's one of the inputs that the team are now using to help them basically prioritize which movies are going to bring onto Sky, because we're the first pay TV window, so obviously looking at cinematic and the buzz in that window. And I agree with you in terms of business models, looking at those, whether it's analytics or enabling platforms that make it lower cost for talent to go direct, for example, and create applications at very low cost and go direct through.
When did you start using those tools? Is it pretty recent?
About 12 months ago, something like that.
Recent, yeah.
Starting to see them become, I suppose, sophisticated enough for us to actually get something out of it, and also offer it back to our customers. So we're using it internally to help us make decisions, but we're also exposing that to our customers so they can see and use that to help them in content discovery, which is where I think big data is another thing that's really key. If you can absolutely pinpoint what I like, again on the second screen, to then offer back personalized recommendations, the amount of big data that can be taken into that mix is immense. But there's still a lot of work to be done to get a good output that's better than just editorial recommendations.
It regularly amazes me that you can predict a human being's next step. It's crazy to me that we can do that with data. Okay, you brought up content producers. How do you all feel about YouTube, and do you think there is money to be made there? I'd love to hear from the investors on the panel.
Already making a lot of money. So there is more money to be made for sure. I mean, how many millions, do you remember? How many millions YouTube viewers? Does anybody remember?
You make a lot of money now as a content producer. If you have 1 million subscribers or even 100,000, you make, you could live off of it.
Yeah. Well, Google just purchased or just finished renovating, I think, a place in Los Angeles where they're actually going to be producing. It's like an incubator for content producers, where they bring in people who shoot short YouTube type of videos, and Google now has this incredible facility. I saw it recently, and I was just coming from Warner Brothers, and where you have all these incredible equipment and all this stuff, and I stepped into this YouTube facility, and they expected something much more low key and low tech. And it was totally amazing. It was just about the same level as anything you can see in any professional studio. So YouTube is making a lot of money. YouTube is going to continue making a lot of money. And I think there's a new ecosystem being built around YouTube that is, it'd be interesting to hear the audience, but I think is going to cannibalize a lot of the existing traditional ecosystem around you probably have an opinion about this, around the traditional business of studios and talent, how talent is hired, how talent is developed. So I find this very interesting, and lots of opportunities to invest.
So what do you think about companies like Machinima or Maker Studios? Are you familiar with those? They work with YouTube channels.
Machinima was there last year.
Full screen. Yeah, I think they're here. And how do you feel about that? Those are the kind of companies. I'm curious. Do you think that there is money to be made in startups like those who work alongside the content producers?
It's money, but it's not traditional TV. It's very short content. It's not broadcasted the same way as traditional TV, the one that's viewed by the 75 to 80% who still watch live TV. It's 75 in the US, by the way.
Yeah.
75 of the time spent on TV is live TV in the US.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep. So it's only 25 for the rest. I mean, Netflix and VOD, SVOD, or replay TV, or using your PVR. So it's still a huge number of hours.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but YouTube, the big question is a business question. The ARPU, so the average revenue per user of Google overall, not on YouTube, but overall, is about $35 per user worldwide. A big TV channel in Europe makes more than 100. So it's a ratio from 1 to 3. So there you have the problem. So what can happen if a lot of content and a lot of usage migrates to the internet kinds of usage and advertising modes and so on? It's going to be a big machine for the traditional TV broadcasters. So that's the big question. So today they have a fairly good resistance because they are investing in the new business models of second screens, TV watching. But their interest is to avoid all the viewing experience to move on these screens because it would diminish seriously their revenue stream, at least if we follow the business models we have today. Mm-hmm. So far, so good, because they have fairly well invested in those new experiences. The good event that happened last year, at least, I mean, 2011, 2012 for TV broadcasters, was that social TV and live social comments did increase the value of live content, typically reality TV or sports events and so on. So that was a very good set of events for TV channels because it encouraged people to watch stuff on TV and to comment it on the second screen, not do everything on the second screen watching TV on YouTube, for example.
What's your favorite second screen?
Application?
Or device? What do you think is the future of second screens?
Probably the tablet is best positioned today. Maybe not this tablet, but
just a tablet
mid-sized tablet between 7 and 12 inch, let's say, and because you can bring it everywhere. LTE is going to change a lot, the user experience, so-called high-speed mobile connectivity. LTE is fairly successful in the US right now. It's going to start in Europe in the next years now, and it's going to push people to watch television anywhere. Because today it's not that easy to consume television anywhere because 3G is not that powerful. But LTE is going to be a big driving force to push people to consume anything, any kind of content, video, even high-definition video, anywhere.
So I'd like to switch gears a little bit really quickly, and you know, we're talking about different revenue models, whether it's you know, non-advertising based, subscription based. What do you think is the future of e-commerce as far as media is concerned?
So I think it's very early days, but there's a huge opportunity there again, and if the right context can be captured and translated into something very valuable, I think one of the things that we're looking at, both with our ZBox investment and looking at other startups that can help in this space, you know, where effectively you've got the ideal situation, you've got your tablet or your smartphone, you're logged in, so you know, the advertiser or the person who's got a product placed within a show knows exactly who I am, and can obviously bring me that context-relevant commerce opportunity during the show.
Are there any companies any of you guys have seen that are promising?
Well, I have to say ZBox, obviously.
ZBox.
But yeah, there are others. We're looking at a few in this space because we're also just launching something called AdSmart. So going back to the point about linear TV, for us, we make £600 million a year on linear TV advertising. So we needed to be able to deliver addressable TV advertising into the linear space over satellite. So we developed a solution which has taken 5 years to be able to do that using the set-top box as a local ad server. Coming in over the back channel, but if you sort of take that as a sort of at the heart, and then wrap all of the personalization that you can deliver into that, and then onto the second screen, there are a lot of companies that are currently trying to get into that space that I think are very interesting.
No, I think the impression is quite a fashion because, you know, I've been in the internet for the last 15 years, and the last 15 years, you know, I remember like they were showing us 15 years ago, you know, examples of you were watching documentary about a country, and then you were able to buy this a trip to this to this place on your TV, and then buy the guidebook. And basically, you know, that means you will compete with, you know, Expedia and Amazon. I'm quite skeptical. You know, is it not better just to launch the Amazon app and buy your guidebook, you know, in one click? People speak a lot about that. I haven't seen any new, very interesting companies in that.
The biggest problem is people are disconnecting their brain while watching TV. So it's the main business problems that people have.
Yeah, and I think people also love the lean back mode where they can just watch. I don't know. I mean, people talk all about this clickability, you know, can you click? And I think eventually, I think there probably will be things like that I've seen a few companies. There's one called Pose where you can, it's sort of like an Instagram for fashion, and you can tag the clothing you're wearing, and I think they're headed towards being able to buy that. But again, that's pictures, not video. I don't know how you do that in video. Have you seen any companies that do that?
Yeah, there are a couple of companies who do that. Video clicking, yeah.
Video clicking.
The problem is how do you make this automatic? Because
but I want to watch the
solutions,
storyline. Yeah. I don't want to, like, you know, I want to see what they're going to do. I don't want to click something while I'm...
It's been tested at least 5 years ago by L'Oréal at the Cannes Festival. So they were using the videos from the Montée des Marches, where all the stars are arriving in this building. And so they were doing a kind of slow motion replay where you could pick up all the clothing from Chanel and so on from the actress. But it was a replay. It was not live. It's very difficult to do it automatically live.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that's why you have small shops doing this kind of thing. I don't know if it scales very well.
I saw a really interesting company very recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, that is actually using the 3D technology. You know, most of content now is produced 3D, but people are not necessarily all that interested in 3D. So what they're actually proposing to do is that you're watching TV on any kind of device. Let's just say it's a TV screen. So your viewing experience is in 2D, and then the third dimension actually pops out of the TV screen and is not about the content. It's, for example, take a very, very simple example of an ad, okay, on your TV.
Do you have to be wearing 3D glasses?
No.
What?
This is not without wearing any glasses. I tested
That's
the thing.
crazy.
So you're watching an ad of a car. Let's say it's a really beautiful, interesting ad. There are some very nice car ads. And a third dimension pops out because you want to know the price of the, say it's Maserati, and you want to know how much it costs, where you can buy it, and all that. The third dimension pops out. This is probably really interesting to you. Pops out. You click, and this is all gesture control. You go like this. You don't have any keyboard. You don't have anything. You go like this. It gives you the price. You go like that. It tells you, you know, it knows where you're geographically located. It tells you the dealer is, you know, on 3rd Street down there. You know, amazing. This is very, very early stage. I can't even tell you the name of the company or the investors or anything because it's very under the radar. But it's, when I saw this, I said, this is the future of TV. Amazing. This is answering all the questions where, you know, we're all saying, you know, how can you order from TV? How can you see more? Right now you're doing on Z-Box or second screens, but this is right in front of your face, and it's just amazing.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Because I was going to say, I think at the moment, the commerce opportunity is around the ad breaks, which are still there. It's very much around how you can deliver something that's actually engaging and relevant, and that you can actually transact on either, you know, at that moment or collect a voucher and do it offline later. That sounds really interesting.
Well, this was an amazing panel, and I want to give the audience a couple minutes to ask questions before the pitch competition. So does anyone have any questions for our incredible panelists? I'm going to call on you if you don't. Okay. Oh, here, right next to you, on the right.
You. Hi, I'm Reda, founder of Mixo TV. I have a question for Emma. I want to know, are you happy about the results of Z-Box when you see that they have 40,000 active users? Are you happy about the fact that the volume of active users isn't that important, taking into account the volume of audience of Sky TV?
First of all, they've got several 100,000 active users, so I'm not quite sure where the 40s come from. So yes, we are very happy. There's hundreds of thousands of people who are using Z-Box in the UK, another million or so using it in the US. Australia, again, very successful service operating there. I'm not saying that there isn't a huge amount still to be done, and that the product team there are working really hard with consumers on a weekly basis to iterate that product, and to a certain extent to simplify it down to some of the core elements that are really working. But the good thing from our perspective at the moment is that where we integrate ZBox into Sky products, as well as obviously, they continue with their own branded product, within both of those experiences we're seeing, organic growth, very strong repeat usage. And I think part of that is because it's also just a great TV guide. People come back to it because it's not just about the second screen in terms of interacting during a show. It also helps you find what you want to watch, and that's one of the key aspects. That it's your TV guide and it's your remote control. And I think there's still a lot of work to be done around actually what is the compelling engagement during the show.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. Oh, one back here.
Hi, I'm Nicholas from RTL Holland. I have a question to Emma. When you look at your investments, what is the main purpose? Is it strengthening the core business, or just have a growth story, have an interesting investment with an exit?
So it really is about making a strategic investment for us where it's along a spectrum. So if it's a very early stage company that's operating in a space that's very strategically relevant for us, it's about insight initially. As companies are more mature, we're looking... Sorry, was it me that you asked? Sorry. It was.
Yes.
Suddenly saw a blank look. So as you move along the time frame for a company's maturity, we're then looking at companies that can actually help us to either improve existing products, to offer new products into our customer base, to have an enabling technology that improves efficiency. So they're all strategic investments where obviously we invest alongside a VC who tend to call us the dumb money. So we do like to invest alongside the intelligent money. But we are only making those investments where we see that we can actually help that company by bringing the technology into Sky, obviously a company the scale of Sky, help accelerate it and push it out into millions of customers' hands very quickly. And that's certainly where we are at the moment.
Okay,
we think you're intelligent money and that we're dumb money.
Okay, last question, blue sweater.
Hello, I'm Josh. My question is with all of the multiple platforms that are coming out, whether it's tablets, smartphones, your computer and TV, how do you think as an industry that the media industry is wrangling all of these different outlets so a fan can engage and understand how they all interrelate and work together?
It's a good question because I think it's very complex. It's never easy to change a model. You had a very simple model. I mean, complex and simple for TV. Delivering TV. Up to maybe perhaps 5 years ago was very simple. You produce shows, you stick them on TV, with the grid, and it's all good. It's totally changed now, and I think whenever you've got this is really a disruption. And so whenever there is disruption, there's going to be, and I view that we are right now in a period of flux. I find it interesting because of my position in this flux. But I'm sure that the TV business, the TV industry is finding it very complex. And when I talk to people in the TV industry, it's very, very difficult to figure out, how can you better serve your user. And one of our companies actually it's kind of interesting to view the problems of the TV industry through this company called CalmC. They actually bring to TVs or to TV industry, TV content producers, teaching them that their viewer, the kind of viewer that they have on this show, say take Glee again for an example, also likes a lot of other different things. And that's readily available information when you cross-reference Facebook and all that. You figure out that somebody who watches Glee also likes to eat at Chili's restaurants. I'm sorry for the Americanism here, but it's a Mexican place. They like Starbucks coffee, or they also watch Disney movies, and they also... So when you cross-reference all this, I think it's very useful for the TV industry to better understand their viewer and to better target better content to them. So, but they're in a very, very difficult situation. Whenever anybody, somebody who is who's had a long activity a certain way, when they're being disrupted by new technologies, new models, it's very difficult to adapt.
Okay, thank you so much. So our time is up for this lovely panel. Can we give everyone a round of applause?